We're on.
All right. I'd like to welcome everyone to the special called meeting of the Jessamine County Board of Education. We are all virtual again, dialing in on Google Hangouts here. So for those of you out there that have joined us, I appreciate it. Thank you for doing so. Mr. Moore, do you want to call the roll, please?
Yes, sir. Board Chair Stephen Scribner.
Here.
Vice Chair Denise Adams.
Here.
Board Member Aiden Day.
Here.
Deborah Hood.
Here.
Bobby Welch.
Here.
We have 5 present. We have a quorum, sir.
Thank you. We've got an agenda set up tonight. I know there's a lot of people that are probably joining our meeting that have questions about graduation ceremonies, prom, and other extracurricular activities. I just wanted to make clear up front, we're not going to address those this evening. The main reason is Superintendent Moore and his team are still actively working with teachers, administrators, parents, students, people in the community trying to figure out exactly what options exist for us. As everyone knows, this is kind of an unprecedented time and a lot of factors to consider. He and his team are working hard to bring to the board some recommendations on how we can handle those things. I can assure you as board members, we are very concerned and very much interested in doing our best to honor our students in the best way possible, obviously taking into consideration the overall safety of our community. We've got 2 agenda items this evening. Being a special call meeting, we can't adjust the agenda. So I will make a motion to approve the agenda as it currently exists.
Second.
All those in favor of approving the agenda as it's currently constructed?
Aye.
Aye.
Those say no?
Aye.
Okay, so the agenda is approved. Mr. Moore, do you want to take us to item number 1, which is, I believe, the school calendar?
Yes, and it is a recommendation to revise the school calendar for the remainder of the school year. I do want you guys to know that there are a couple factors, or several factors that have gone into making this decision. I want you to also know that I've consulted regularly with other superintendents in the surrounding area through the co-op. We're meeting every Friday and hearing some of their thoughts, recommendations, as well as the Commissioner of Education. Also had a lot of opportunities to talk with parents and staff. And then last week, I went ahead and polled all of the lead principals from each of the schools to hear their thoughts on the topic, and then also spoke with the chairman of this board, Stephen Scribner, to give him some of my thoughts last week on the topic. But the recommendations that I am making are really trying to consider some of the challenges that NTI is having on families, students, as well as teachers, families in particular. Some of the thoughts and concerns, although they speak very positively about NTI, some of the concerns are the challenges with getting on technology when there's multiple students involved, as well as some challenges with trying to manage everything that's going on during these times and not having the skill set to address some of their children's individual needs. From the student perspective, it's very similar in that students only have limited access to our teachers during the NTI time. And then from the teacher side, something that I think we've all appreciated more now that we're doing NTI in replacement for traditional instructional days for an extended period of time. We really have double tasked our teachers in preparing virtual learning experiences as well as paper learning experiences for our students. And then we've had multiple teachers that have had to learn new platforms or deliveries for the instruction. So I think it's just hats off to the teachers and the families who have supported all of our students during this process. Also, what I've really taken into account are some of the tasks that need to be completed during these unique times. Some of them are tasks that we always do at the closing of a school year, but we've added additional tasks to our teachers that will create quite a bit of work at the end of the school year. To give you some examples, we are modifying our grading scale, taking into account the fact that we've had extended NTI. So we're working on that this week, and our teachers will be applying the new grading scale and assigning grades based on that recommendation that we'll be giving them. They also, we will be expecting at the end of the year them to be making additional contacts with students to gather all of the complete NTI assignments, and then they'll be contacting parents and trying to encourage them to help the students complete all of that additional work. In addition to those tasks, some other things that our teachers will be responsible for, as well as other staff members at the school, are gathering the devices at the end of the year, cleaning those, inventorying and servicing those so that they're ready for next year. We had a scheduled professional development for all of our teachers, one of our final days here at the end of May. But we are going to shift gears on that professional development and create a professional development that's going to be more relevant to our current situation. So we're working on that this week. And what I'm talking about there is making sure that our professional development is preparing our teachers for the transition back for our students, because we're going to have several students that will be moving on to the next grade that aren't going to have all of the content covered as we would have planned. So we need to develop plans to make sure we're addressing those potential gaps so that we're not leaving any particular student behind on a piece of content. And then the things that we typically do on our single closing day for teachers, we're going to have to do differently, because we can't have all of the teachers coming into the schools at the same time. So we're going to have to develop schedules for teachers to come in and close out their rooms, get those ready for the summer cleaning. And then we also have closeout expectations for each teacher that administrators take them through to include evaluations and several other things. And this gives, feel like additional time could give our teachers opportunities to close those things out. And then I'd mention this, I want to mention one other thing. There are a lot of things that we do that typically take a much shorter period of time, but because we can't pull all of those individuals together that we typically have, it really is spreading this work out over longer periods of time. An example is our teachers are usually very actively involved in student placement for students for the upcoming year. And those activities have really been stretched out, again, because everything's being done virtually, or we're bringing small groups of teachers in to work on different phases of this process. So again, there's a lot going on, but the thing that we really want to focus a lot of attention on at the end of this year with our teachers is making sure that we're making all those adjustments to curriculum maps, to classes that are being scheduled for next year, to make sure that we're covering all of those gaps that we're identifying. And then we also have to have a much more robust plan for recovery of content that's not mastered this year, because we anticipate that there may be a higher percentage of students just because they haven't been exposed to specific pieces of content from the teachers like they have typically received in years past. Also, at the high school level, we're going through all of our seniors and making sure that they're meeting all of the expectations so that they can obtain the necessary credits to graduate on time. It's our goal that NTI doesn't negatively impact a student's ability to graduate. So we're doing a lot of extra work to make sure that, again, our seniors have everything that they need. So I anticipate that we'll have teachers that will do extra work, even it could potentially be through a lot of the summer to make sure that they're completing the necessary requirements. So with that said, I did send you a copy of a calendar proposal, and I'll just highlight that for you quickly. My recommendation is that we continue non-traditional instructional days through May 8th. So that's the duration where they would receive the typical assignments that they're currently receiving. And then we would use May 11th through May 15th for teachers to work directly with students who are having difficulties with content or haven't completed all the assignments to make sure that everything is turned in. And then we would utilize the 18th through the 22nd to address the topics that I had shared with you that are very staff specific, and again that are stretched out an additional task that we typically wouldn't have had in a typical school calendar. So are there any questions from the board?
Matt, does that complete teachers' contract days? Are they what are the number of contract days now for a teacher?
188 days, and we have been tracking all of that. So this would still allow all of our teachers to complete those tasks. Teachers are unfortunately subjected to typical traditional school calendars. I anticipate there will be some expectations that they'll have that may extend beyond these days, but it will cover all of the contract days.
And what about our teaching assistants, office staff? I was at Wilmore today, and I noticed their office staff still working. Can we be assured that those folks are completing their contracts as well?
Yes, ma'am. We are, every director and principal are tracking the classified staff that they're directly supervising, and they have plans for those individuals and are working those plans. Some of those are reduced hours, but we are justifying that because of our current situation and the fact that we're trying to maintain the social distancing piece. We are also aware of some staff members that haven't been able to complete some of their assignments due to circumstances surrounding COVID-19, and it's our plan on the backside of this to look at all of those situations. And we, if you recall, with the special call meeting that we had last week, you guys added additional emergency days, so that will give us the ability to look at those individual people, and if those circumstances are tied to COVID-19, we can give them the additional emergency days so that they fulfill their contract that way and will still be in good standings for retirement.
I have a question. Will the summer fee continue this summer like normal or semi-normal or what?
We have summer feeding that will continue the way that we're currently doing it all the way through the school year, and then we are hopeful that some of our restrictions will be lifted at some point to where we can go back to our traditional summer feeding, which is going out to various sites throughout the community. But we won't make those adjustments until we get the restrictions lifted from the governor.
Okay.
And I think to date we're at 70,000 plus meals distributed in Jessamine County.
Wow. For the whole time that we've been out? Is that?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. That's amazing. That is.
Yeah, very proud of that group.
Yeah.
Does anyone else have questions or comments on the superintendent's proposal as it relates to the calendar?
No, it looks good to me.
Looks good to me.
One additional thing to add, I just looked at my notes and I don't want to miss this. Providence School is on an alternative calendar that's separate from Jessamine County's, all of the other schools in Jessamine County. The only difference between their calendar and what I'm recommending to you guys is they would have one additional day of NTI to meet Senate Bill 177's requirements. So they would have that May 11th day, and then they will close out like the rest of the district the 12th through the 15th.
Have their extended days been, CUCSAC days been waived this year?
Right now, they're all NTI.
Okay.
So they're still fully implementing those.
Anything else, guys? Any other questions?
I'm good.
Nope, none from me.
Do we have a motion to approve the superintendent's recommendation as it relates to the school calendar for the remainder of the year?
Motion to approve new updated school year calendar.
Second.
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. All right. Mr. Moore, the next item.
Yes, sir. The next one is a recommendation to waive the electives for our 2020 graduates. What this gives us the ability to do is if we have a very unique situation where we have a senior this year that isn't able to fulfill Jessamine County's elective requirements, it gives us the ability to waive that through the Kentucky Board of Education. And that's in Jessamine County, so it's actually the state's requirement. Right now, they're required to have 7 electives. So if we were to have a student, for instance, that is short 1 elective, it would give us the ability to waive that. And what we want to do is make sure that if we have a student that needs to complete content courses, that we can adjust their focus so that they're working on their math, their science, their English, and not focusing as much attention on the elective piece. So we would look at these student by student and obviously not waive all 7, but it would give us the ability to look at those unique students and give them what they would need to be to graduate without negatively impacting their opportunity because of the coronavirus.
Makes sense. Any questions or comments from board members?
No.
No. Do we have any idea at this point, Matt, how many kids are going to be impacted by that?
I don't know at this point. I know that Mr. Thornton and Mr. Hobolt started working last week. I think some of it really is when we're talking about that week of trying to gather information from the students and see where they are. I think that's when we'll have a really clear picture of our situation. I know that we do have students that are relying very heavily on the work that they're completing through NTI, but I don't have a number for you right now.
Okay.
Any other questions or comments?
No.
All right, I'll make a motion to approve action item number 2 as it relates to waiver to the Kentucky Board of Education.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed say no. All right. That's it, Mr. Moore, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, it's 6:19. I'll make a motion to adjourn this meeting of the Board of Education.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say no. I appreciate it. Thanks, everyone.